now the Office of the Inspector General found the transit agency needs to better manage its overtime. The OIG's findings were presented at today's BART Board of Directors meeting. It's an issue I-Team reporter Melanie Woodrow first looked into 5 years ago, and she's here with the very latest on this. Melanie.
Dan and Amma, the Board of Directors has agreed to accept all of the OIG's recommendations, but the report was not without critique, both from board members and the union representing BART employees.
According to the Office of the Inspector General, in fiscal year 2024, BART spent $80 million on overtime costs. 57 employees doubled their salaries through overtime. It's a question the ABC 7 News I-Team first asked in 2020.
Why is there so much overtime pay?
After we noticed one station agent worked 361 out of 365 days at more than 40 different stations in 2018, making more than $114,000 in overtime. At the time I interviewed BART's Deputy General Manager Michael Jones.
Why not hire more employees to cut back on some of that overtime pay?
In almost every case, it's more financially sound for the district to pay an employee overtime than to hire an additional headcount.
Now, 5 years later, an Office of the Inspector General audit has found BART needs to further mitigate its overtime costs.
Overtime's going to happen. You can't run BART without overtime. But at the end of the fiscal year, you want to have your costs pretty close to what your budget was and not having these huge variances. But if you do have huge variances, being able to speak to that.
According to the report, BART employees were able to substantially increase their overtime earnings by working overtime shifts, taking on extra duties, working alternative schedules, taking paid vacations or sick days on a regularly scheduled workday, and then working a day off as overtime, and not taking their full paid breaks or lunches. Findings that were not received well by BART Chapter President SEIU Local 1021, John Orantes.
No more working lunch and breaks. We'll walk away from the job, okay? And then you can single track.
The report also found BART needs to improve its overtime fraud prevention and detection.
First you call them crooks, criminals, you attack them. We don't decide when do we work. We don't go, no, sorry, I can't come on grade shift. I'm showing up on Monday.
Directors were critical of the report as well, questioning the numbers used for comparisons in the report's findings, given the impact the pandemic had on BART's operations.
This report is not as good as I would have wanted it to be in order for us to be able to make some concrete differences in the future.
And doubling down on the idea that BART is relying on workers to provide a near-perfect system while also scrutinizing the hours they work to deliver.
We burn out our employees to meet and exceed the quality and level of service we are setting for them.
Orantes said the union will fight for BART employees.
We are not slaves or indentured servants. We have rights. We work OT, and you shall pay us for the work that we do.
One of the OIG's findings was that some employees are having to approve dozens, if not hundreds, of other employees' time, suggesting it decreases the chance of detecting misconduct. BART's Director of Performance and Audit pushed back on that, saying if somebody works their regular hours, there's really nothing to approve. So he was suggesting it's not as big of a task as the OIG had put in their report.
Oh, all right. Melanie, I have no doubt that you saw BART General Manager Bob Powers today. You've been trying to interview him. Any luck on that front?
I did see him today, and I made a point of going up to him and introducing myself because the public information officer for BART recently told me that he doesn't do interviews with reporters he doesn't know. So I wanted to make sure that he gets to know me.
Hi, I'm Melanie.
You got it. And I asked him if we could meet so he'd have an opportunity to get to know me, and he said yes. And I said, when's good for you? And he suggested that the public information officer would help set up a time. So I will keep you posted on that.
He knows you now. Let's see. Thanks, Melanie.